Welcome to Excise and Licenses online training videos. This video will show you how to apply online for a retail food commissary-based business license. There are a couple of steps that you need to take to apply online. First, you'll want to go to the retail food commissary-based website to see all required documents for this new application. Make sure you have your documents filled out and uploaded on your computer, and they must be in a PDF or JPEG format. We are not able to open other formats. This license is for any retailer selling food directly to consumers that does their food processing out of a commissary. Examples include stand-ups, kiosks, and direct-to-consumer retailers. And those commissaries have to be licensed commissaries. They can't be out of your kitchen for this license. And then the second thing that you'll want to do is you want to make sure that you have a login to Denver's online permitting and licensing center. Make sure that the login is an email and a password that you will be able to remember in the future. Going forward, all of your applications will be online for food applications. So make sure again that email and password is something that you can remember in the future. And then again, you'll want to make sure you have a credit or debit card ready. And we accept MasterCard, Visa, or Discover. You may also process a payment from a bank account. You would need the routing number, account holder name, and account type. One quick thing to remember while you are processing your application online, make sure that you don't let your application time out when you're logged in online. If you need to leave your application before you have completed it, at the bottom of each page is a button that says save and resume within 30 days. Please make sure you click on that save and resume within 30 days button if you need to walk away from your application. Otherwise, if you don't and the application times out, it will break your application and you'll have to contact Excise and Licenses so we can manually correct that, and that will increase the time in being able to process your application. So again, don't let your application time out. Just click on the button at the bottom of every page and then resume your application when you come back. There are 3 parts to your application. The first part of the application is a licensed establishment application, and this is capturing information about the location where the retail food license will be operated. This is specific to that location, and you will first need to have the valid Denver address, and then you will also need a zoning use permit for that address. And if you have submitted this application before and you're just now moving your application online, you should have a copy of the zoning use permit within your records, and you can use that zoning use permit to upload for this application. If you can't find that in your records, then you can email licenses@denvergov.org requesting a copy of your zoning use permit. This is only if you've had a license before at that location and you're just moving your license online. If you're a brand new applicant, you will need to go through the zoning use permit process, which is listed on our website. And then another thing that you will need to provide is a lease or a possession of property certificate. And if it's a lease, we will need the full lease, all pages. So if it's 120 pages, we need you to upload all 120 pages of that lease. Or you can fill out the possession of property certificate, which is a 1-page certificate, and you need to fill that out completely and have it signed and dated. And then we will also need details for up to 3 on-site managers, at least 1 on-site manager. And we will need their name, date of birth, their home address, and contact information. And on-site managers are individuals designated who have the authority to make decisions regarding the licensed establishment, and they must have access to and control over the licensed establishment at all times. The second part of the application is the entity registration application. This application captures ownership information about the person or entity that will hold the license. You must provide your entity type, and that's like, are you a limited liability corporation? Are you a corporation? Are you a nonprofit corporation? We need that information. And then we also need the true name of the entity or person who will hold the license. That's the LLC name, the corporation name, and then the list of any trade names under which the entity operates. And those trade names are usually like if you have a sign on your building, or you do business as a different name from the entity name, that's what the trade name would be. And then we also need ownership information about anyone that owns 10% or more of the entity, including their name, date of birth, home address, and contact information. If you don't have anybody that owns 10% or more, we do require at least one owner's name to be entered in, because we will be asking for a valid ID for at least one owner. And so we want that owner's name listed in the application in the ownership table when you come to that part of the application. So just remember, if you're going to provide an ID for one of the owners, that owner needs to be listed in the application. And then we also need organizational documents for your corporations, LLCs, and partnerships. And that could be something like a bylaw, an operating agreement, a partnership agreement, articles of incorporation, certificate of good standing, etc., as applicable for the type of entity that you have. And then again, any entity or person that will hold multiple licenses in Denver will only have to complete this entity application once. If the same entity owns multiple locations and will apply for multiple licenses, you should reuse the entity registration number provided to you after your initial application. And I will explain this more during the application process. The first time that you apply online, you won't have an entity number. And so you will, during that part of the application, you'll answer no. And then you'll later be assigned an entity number for this specific entity name and ownership structure. But again, I'll explain that more within the application. And then finally, the third part of the application is the retail food commissary-based license application. And this application verifies you are eligible to obtain a retail food license and reviews the rules and laws you must abide by. You will need to provide a affidavit of commissary. And again, this document is listed on our website, and it needs to be completely filled out, all sections, and it needs to be signed and dated. And then there is also a public health application. Again, that will need to be completely filled out and signed and dated. And you will need to obtain your propane permit or exemption letter from the Denver Fire Department to submit with the application, if applicable. And then if you state that you have a Denver sales tax license, we need a copy of that Denver sales tax license. Again, the Denver sales tax license is the license that is on kind of a yellowish brown paper. It is not the blue tax license. That is the state tax license. We want the city tax license, which is again a yellowish brown paper. And then as part of this application, you may have already had a current Denver business license, but during this process, you're moving your application online. So we need, if you say you have a current valid Denver business license for a retail food commissary-based license, then we ask that you provide a copy of that license during the process. And again, that's your Denver business license, not your tax license, your Denver business license. And then also, if you are applying as a nonprofit, you will need to provide a letter addressed to the Department of Excise and Licenses that contains a request to fee waiver, the name of the nonprofit, explanation of or vision of how does the community benefit from this nonprofit. It must be on letterhead and dated and signed. And then the second required document is the 501c3 letter from the IRS listing the nonprofit's name. And then finally, as part of the application, you will be asked how does your business handle food during your business? And we've got a document listed here that gives examples of explaining the questions that we're asking you during that part of the application. And again, here's the URL for that document. And then the document is also listed on our website. And the document looks like this. And it explains during the application, you'll be asked, do you sell prepackaged cold foods, no food handling preparation? And then this document just gives you examples of the business type or the types of foods. And this document, you can just go through the whole document, and each blue section here is what we want to know. Does your business perform this type of food handling? And you'll check a box during the application for those. Okay, so now we are going to start the application process. And so you'll want to go to Denver's Permitting and Licensing Center. And like I said before, you want to make sure you have a account registered and before you start your application. So if for this example, we're going to say that you've got your email and your password. So you'll sign in with your email and your password and then click on sign in. And then here you are going to click on business licenses. And then here you are going to click on apply for a license. And then you've got this general disclaimer. So read this general disclaimer and then click on I have read and accepted the above terms, and then click on continue application. And then here you are going to apply for a application package. So for a retail food based retail food commissary based license, you're going to click on this little button that says application package, and then you're going to click on continue application. And then here it just tells you the type of licenses that you can apply for on this part of the licensing portal. And here is the retail food commissary based that we are going to apply for today. So you'll just click on continue application. And then here it's just walking you through the process. You'll fill out the 3 portions of the application. You'll complete your business applications. You'll submit the application package, and then you'll pay for the application. And then once that's paid for, then that will be submitted to Excise and Licenses, and then we'll be able to process the application for you. So then you'll just click on continue application. And then here it's asking if your license will be located in the city and county of Denver. And so for this type of license, it needs to be in the city and county of Denver. So you'll just click on yes, and then you'll click on continue application. And then here is where it's going to ask you for the license address. So you're going to put in the street number and then the street name. And then you're going to click on search. And what it's going to do is it's going to search for that address and make sure that it is listed in the city and county of Denver's database. And then once we have that address, then we'll be able to move forward. And then here it's asking if it's the east or the west address. And so you'll select the correct direction. And then here it's going to give you, sometimes it will give you a couple of parcel numbers if that specific address has multiple parcels. And if you're not sure which parcel to select, just select the first one. And then down below, it will give you some of the associated owners as part of that parcel. If you know the associated owners for the parcel and you see that it's incorrect, then you can go through the other different parcels. Otherwise, if you're not 100% sure, just select the first one and then click select. And then here it's asking, do you operate out of multiple units, suites, etc.? For this example, we're going to say no, and then we're going to click on continue application. And then this page is asking what type of license we're applying for today. And so you'll click here on add a license. And you can apply for multiple licenses at the same time. But for this example, we are going to apply for the retail food license commissary-based. And that's for this specific address under this company name. So then you're going to click on submit. And then click on continue application. And then here is where I was talking about earlier. It's asking, is this your entity registration? And you would be given an entity number. And for this example, you're going to say no, because this is the first time that you're applying online. And so you're going to say no. And then you are going to click on continue application. And then it says, have you completed an entity registration for Denver's Department of Excise and Licenses? Again, since this is a new application and you've never applied online before, you're going to say no. If you have created an application online and it's for the same company name and ownership structure, you're going to say yes. And then you're going to provide that entity number that you were given before, and it's usually like a 2023 dash entity dash 00123, something like that. And so if you applied online before, you'll say yes and you'll provide that entity number. Otherwise, you're going to say no, and then it's going to ask you for what is your entity type, and you can select between for-profit corporation, limited liability company, nonprofit corporation, partnership, or sole proprietor. For this example, we're going to say limited liability company, and then you're going to enter in that name and the name of your company. And I also want to make sure that you know that however you type in this information, that's how that information is going to print on your license. So be careful when you're typing in the information. Make sure you're using uppercase, lowercase, and you're spelling your company name correctly, things like that. And then, so once you have that information in, you're going to click on continue application. And then here it's asking for main contact. And this main contact is the name of the person that is going to receive all of the emails and the information about your application. You want to make sure that whatever name, email, and phone number that you provide for this application, that it is a valid email address and a valid phone number, because if it's incorrect, we won't be able to send you all of the email communications regarding your application. And that is how we provide all of the communications about your application. So again, you want to make sure that you have the correct information, and then you will click on continue. And then here is the mailing address. So just provide the mailing address for your company, and make sure you have the correct mailing, the mail to name, the address, if you have a suite number, etc., and input that information, and then click on continue. And if you need to edit anything, you can just click on that little edit button and go back in and edit that information. And then you'll click on continue application. And then here is an optional email notification. And if you want another person to be receiving the emails regarding this application process, you can enter in that person's email information here. Otherwise, we're going to leave it blank and click on continue application. And then here is the last. You need to review all of this information, and you want to make sure that everything is correct. If you need to correct the company name, the address, or anything like that, if you see anything incorrect, you'll need to click on the edit button, and it will take you back to that part of the application so you can correct that information. If everything looks good, you can continue forward. But if you don't correct something that is incorrect, you will have to start your whole application over. We won't be able to correct it after. So please make sure that you have all of the information in here correct. And then you'll want to read this oath of application, make sure everything is correct. Read this oath of application. If you agree to everything, then you will check that box and then you'll click on continue application. And then here, now we have the 3 parts of the application and we're ready to begin processing all of the information so you can submit the application to Excise and Licenses. Once you have completed all 3 parts, it will say complete edit next to each section, and then that will turn the submit application package blue, and then you'll click on that application package and submit it for payment. And then once the payment is made, then that will go to Excise and Licenses. So let's start the first part of the application, and that's the entity registration. So here you're just seeing that the entity type, entity name, and then you're going to just click on continue application. And then this is just telling you the documents and things like that, the information that we are going to collect, which I talked about at the beginning of this training video. So then we're just going to click on continue application. And here again is if you have a trade name you do business as, you'll add that information here and you click on add a trade name, and then you can enter in the trade name, and then you can enter that in here, and then you'll click on submit, and then you'll click on continue application. And then here it's asking, does anyone own 10% or more of the license, either directly or indirectly through another entity? For this example, even if you don't have somebody that owns 10% or more, you're still going to say yes, because we want to capture at least one owner's name that you will provide a valid ID for during the application process. So you'll enter their first name, their last name, their home address, their city, state, zip code, their birthday, their position, and then we want their direct phone number, email, the percentage owned, and then for the city, we are collecting information regarding demographics, and this is not required, but if you want to fill out this information, please do. We do collect that information for continuous improvement of our policies, processes, and communications. So again, enter that information if you feel like it. And also, if you have more than one owner, you'll just click on add owner and continue that through the whole process. Once you have everything filled out, you'll click on continue application. And then here, this general contact information, this information will be released to the public. So we do ask that you give us a good phone number or email in order, if somebody from the public wants to contact your company, this information will be available to the public. So click on continue application. And then here are the required documents that you need to upload. And we've got our organizational documents that we need to upload, and then a valid identification for that owner that we referenced in the previous part of the application. So you'll find that document and upload it. And then you'll go and find the valid ID for that owner, and then you will upload that. And then you'll click on continue application. And then again is the review page. You'll review everything for accuracy. If you need to correct something, you'll click on the edit button. And otherwise, you'll read the oath of application. And if you ever agree to everything, you'll click on the checkbox and then click on continue application. All right, so the entity portion is completed. Now we'll start the licensed establishment portion. Again, that's just the address for your business. And then you'll click on continue application. And then here it's just telling you the documents that are required for this part of the application. And again, if you don't have all of your documents, you can click on save and resume within 30 days. Otherwise, click on continue application. And then here, if you have more than one location for your company and you have multiple licenses and you just want the location name to differentiate, you can click on location name. If this is a food business operating in an arena, ghost kitchen, or other large venue, please enter your kiosk or station number in the location name field. Do not list store name if it is not unique to this particular location. Otherwise, click on continue application. And then here we want up to 3 on-site managers, but at least one. And that on-site manager needs to have access to this licensed establishment. So you'll enter in their name and their information and then their position, and then you'll click on submit. And then click on continue application. This page asks us about whether you own or rent the property. If you rent the property, then you need to provide the expiration date that is on the lease. And so you will input that information and then click on continue application. And then here it's asking you to upload your zoning use permit or your possession of property certificate or the lease. And again, if it's a lease, we want the full lease. All right, so you will upload those documents. And once all of the documents are uploaded, you will click on continue application. And one more time, you're going to review everything for accuracy. If you need to correct anything, you'll click on the edit button next to that, and you'll go back to the application and correct that, and then come back to the review page. You'll review the oath of application. If everything looks good, you'll check that box, and then you'll click on continue application. And then now we are going to complete the final section of the application. So you'll click on start. And then here it's just the company name and the address. Click on continue application. And then here it's just telling you the information that we are going to ask you as part of this application process. Again, if you don't have all of this information, click on save and resume. Otherwise, click on continue application. And then here it's asking for the full commissary address. So we want the street number, the street name, the city and location, and the zip code. So please make sure you enter all of that information. And then we want to know the days of the week that you are using your commissary. So you're going to put that information in there, and the hours that you are there utilizing that commissary. And then we are asking, is your business considered a restaurant? So you'll answer yes or no. And then we ask, what type of seating does your business have? Is it private seating? Is it shared seating space? And then we ask, do you have a Denver sales tax license? Again, that's that yellowish brown paper, not the blue one. The blue one is the state. So we want the yellowish brown, the city tax license. If you say yes, then we also want that city tax license number. And then here, I had talked to you earlier about the retail food handling processes. You need to look at all of these here, and whatever is on here and you do that process when you're handling your food, check the box next to it and let us know what you're doing when you're handling your food. Again, that document that I talked about earlier gives you examples and definitions of what we are asking here. Once you check everything that applies to your business, you will click on continue application. And then here we are asking, what is the establishment seating capacity? Is it 1 to 25? Just tell us how much seating you have. And then, do you plan to use any propane in your business operation? If you say yes, you'll need to provide the propane letter, the propane permit, sorry. So yes or no. And then, how many people are employed by your retail food establishment? And oh, and then how much propane do you use yearly? So you'll answer that information. And then how many employees are employed by your company? And then you'll click on continue application. And then we're asking, do you operate within a hotel? Yes or no. And then, do you operate on the 16th Street Mall in a permanent structure? Yes or no. And then you'll click on, and if you say no, it will ask where you operate. And so just give that information. All right. And then you'll click on continue application. And then here we're asking, are you moving your license online? And do you have a current city business license for your business, your retail food license? So if you do, you're going to say yes, and we're going to ask you to provide a copy of that business license as part of the process. And then and if you say yes and you provide a copy of the license, then you won't be charged for the application fee. You'll only be charged for the license fee. And if you say yes, you have to provide a copy of that license. And then we're also asking if you are applying as a nonprofit. If you click this box, then you will need to provide those two nonprofit letters in order to be able to be processed as a nonprofit application. So then we'll click on continue application. And then here again, as part of the continuous improvement, Denver is collecting different demographic information, and we are asking, what is the your business? What is your primary language, and what is the secondary language spoken by your staff? And this is not required to be filled out, but we would appreciate it if you do fill that information out. And then we'll click on continue application. And then here it's asking if any of the owners of the company have they ever been convicted of a crime or ordinance violation. in the past. And if they have, you'll click on yes and explain that information. And if they haven't, you'll just say no. And this does not mean any traffic violations. So if you say yes, then it will have a box that you'll explain that information. Otherwise, you could click on no and then click on continue application. And then here it's just asking for the documents to be uploaded. So you will upload those documents. And again, if you don't have all of the documents, you'll save and resume. And you want to make sure that all of the documents, again, are in a PDF or JPEG format. And then once you have everything uploaded, you'll click on continue application. And then here you are going to read all of these terms to operate the license. And if you agree to everything, you'll check the box. And then you will click on continue application. Then one final time, you're going to review everything for accuracy. And you'll review the oath of application. And then if you agree to everything, you'll check this box and then you'll click on continue application. And then finally, we have completed the 3 parts of the application. And then now you'll be able to submit your application package. So then we can go in and pay. All right, and then here you're going to click on here to go back to your records so you can go in and pay your fees due. Again, here are the numbers that are assigned to all of your different applications, and these will be in your records. And then you're going to click on pay fees due. And what this will do is then you'll go to the pay fees due, you'll click on continue application. It will take you to a third party where you will input your credit card or your bank account information. And then once that is processed through, the application will be submitted to Excise and Licenses. Now, Excise and Licenses has 7 to 10 business days to initially review the application. It does not mean that the license will be issued within 7 to 10 days. It just means that the application will be reviewed. If everything is correct when you submit the application, the process will go a lot faster. If we do require additional information from you, we will communicate that back to you via email. So make sure that you look for in your email inbox for anything from EXL notifications. If you don't see anything in there, then go into your spam or trash folder to see if the emails are in there, because once you pay for this, you will immediately get an email saying your application has been successfully submitted. So make sure you go in and see. And then once we start reviewing your application, if we need additional documents from you, we will email you and ask you for that information. So again, allow 7 to 10 business days for the initial review. And then also when you pay, there will be a receipt pay, and you'll want to make sure that you print that page for your records. That will be the only receipt that you receive. We do not email receipts from here. So you'll want to, again, make sure you print a copy of that page for your receipts. And then, again, like I said, 7 to 10 business days to review. All right, so I would like to thank you for watching this Denver Excise and Licenses video, and I hope that you have a great day.